Yeah, hi, this is Dave from cheapbooks.com playing World of Tanks. This video is about heavy tanks and how I equip them. I have a large number of heavy tanks. Just for tier 7, 8, 9, and 10, I have 20 heavy tanks. And I have only one per tech tree. I am the type of person who I am always on the front lines. I will go and confront the enemy all by myself. I play in the middle of the maps. Very important that I spot the enemy before they spot me, and that I stay as hidden as possible, so I configure my tanks that way. First, I'm going to go through my crew skills. I make the commander have more skill than everyone else. You'll notice that my loaders and my radio only have 3 skills, yet my driver, gunner, and commander have 4. And the reason why is because there's better skills for the commander and the gunner and the driver. And I will switch them around and move them between tanks in order to arrange it that way. I take BIA as soon as I can, and 6 cents because it keeps you alive. BIA is good because it improves all sorts of specifications, such as your reload time, your turret traverse speed, your DPM, your dispersion, aiming time, your spotting range, maybe your signal range, and traverse speed, and maybe even concealment. So it improves the overall capability of your tank, which is why I recommend it, along with vents, which I have on pretty much every tank, and food consumables. And I just recently added food consumables and the higher octane. Before I had small repair kit, large repair kit, and I had the automatic fire extinguisher. I wasn't catching fire often enough, so I put the first aid kit. However, since I have 4 skills on almost every crew commander, I added Jack of all trades, so I really don't need the first aid kit anymore because the Jack of all trade compensates for that. As I said, I'm on the front line, so I do need recon. I need to spot the enemy before they spot me, and I'm almost never behind an ally. I'm always up in front, and I don't go to the typical places where other people do when they brawl with heavy tanks. Sometimes I do, but it's very often that I don't. So you're going to want to make repairs a high priority depending on how many repair kits you use. I recommend 2 repair kits if you're going to do a lot of brawling. You're going to see that some of my tanks, such as my M103, still has the 2 repair kits because I just don't play this tank very often. I haven't made the changes yet. The Tiger one's probably going to be the same. Okay, so let's go back to the T-34. Concealment to me is important. If you're the type of person that you're always with allies, it might not be as important to you. Firefighting depends on whether you have the automatic fire extinguisher. You end up putting firefighting on your crew members. Once you get enough of it, you can take the fire extinguisher away. And I prioritize, I put the first aid kit as a higher priority to firefighting, and the reason why is because my crew members get injured more often than I catch on fire. So the only reason why I have firefighting on this Tiger 1, for example, is because I had 300 automatic fire extinguishers, and I just had to get rid of them. I've sold half of them, so now I only have like 200 or something like that. But you'll see that on a lot of my older tanks, like this one here, I use the first aid kit. Since I have Jack of all trades probably on his crew member, I'm probably going to remove that. Let me go back to the T-34. Mentor is now outdated. I used to recommend it because it was an automatic 10% crew experience bonus. However, because of personal reserves that get 100% or 200% bonuses, I don't use Mentor anymore. And I've never really used Eagle Eye. I'm pretty sure that I tested it, but it's really hard for me to remember, so I never really got used to it. So my recommendation for Commander would be BIA 6 cents, Jack of all trades. Then I would recommend Recon, depending on your playing style. You're going to want Concealment, depending on your playing style, if you're out in the open or by yourself a lot. Otherwise, I would then do repairs and firefighting, depending on your consumables. So now let's move on to the Gunner. Now, I would recommend BIA as soon as you get it. There's Deadeye and Designated Target. Deadeye gives you a 3% bonus to things like critical hits, for example, which means 1 out of every 33 shots is going to benefit. And it's been tested and proven that 1 out of every 33 shots, not exactly that amount, but on average. I recommend Designated Target if you'd like to do a lot of sniping. However, if once you learn to shoot at unspotted tanks, which I do frequently, Designated Target isn't quite as useful. But it is good if you like to do spotting, and if you want the target to be lit more often and you do a lot of sniping, you might want Designated Target. This one is Snapshot. I highly, highly, highly recommend Snapshot. You have something called dispersion and you have the aiming time, and what it means is that you have a bloom of your aiming reticle, and this reduces the bloom. So what happens is it takes less time to aim. Your shots will be a little bit more accurate than if you don't have it. So I highly recommend it, especially with non-German tanks, because German tanks tend to aim more quickly than other tanks, but most other tanks are not going to be as good as those German tanks. You'll get a little bit of an advantage with that. I need camo, as I explained before. If you're a heavy tank, your gun might get damaged frequently. So for that reason, you might want the Armorer, which will improve a damaged gun, and because a damaged gun has accuracy problems, you have to use repair kits. So if you have the Armorer, it reduces your reliance on repair kits. I decided to go with the repair kit route because I didn't have enough crew skills. However, I'm going to get up to the 5th crew skill soon. There's a good chance I'm going to add Armorer and switch to Deadeye for Designated Target. And when I get Armorer, I have less reliance on repair kits. And repairs in firefighting, it's the same as everything else. You need repairs a little bit more often, and it also affects whether you have the automatic fire extinguisher. And we'll discuss this more under the driver. So with the driver, BIA, Smooth Ride is similar to Snapshot. It improves the accuracy of the gun. You need less time to aim. And if you have a non-German tank, you can benefit greatly by having the Smooth Ride feature. For example, I have a KV-5, which has a horrible aim time, so that benefits greatly. And the T-34, I don't think it's good either. It says 2.99. Let's compare it with a low, 2.51. So the low is like 20% faster than the T-34. Actually, you know, the KV-5 is better than the low. But it improves the aiming. You have less aim time, so I highly recommend it. I already explained why I need concealment. Off-road driving will make you drive faster on soft ground, which means when you're not on pavement. I just started doing this recently on all of my tanks, literally this weekend. So I haven't fully tested it. However, for light tanks, I will say it's been a huge success. Very happy with adding that. If you like to do a lot of ramming, you might want controlled impact. Clutch braking is more for tank destroyers, and I wouldn't recommend it so much with heavy tanks. There's other ways to deal with your traverse speed. However, preventative maintenance is very, very important. You have the automatic fire extinguisher because your engine might catch on fire. The preventative maintenance reduces the chance that your engine catches on fire. So by having preventative maintenance, you can free up a slot for the fire extinguisher, and plus you reduce your need of having a firefighting skill for all of your crew members. So preventative maintenance is a high priority skill, and it will probably be my next skill for my drivers. Now we will move on to the radio operator. Definitely recommend BIA. Situational awareness allows you to spot tanks that are further away. I absolutely need it. Concealment, repairs and firefighting is the same as explained before. Call for vengeance. If you do a lot of spotting, like for example with a light tank, this will give you a little bit more spotting damage per game. The signal boosting and the relaying. Signal boosting means that your signal will transfer further. So if you're far away from your allies, this is a good idea. Very good idea for light tanks, maybe not so much for heavy tanks, unless you're always at the end of the game by yourself, last man standing type thing. You probably want that. And same with relaying. This is good if you have a lot of allies and you want to relay the coverage. So signal boosting and relaying are also more important in lower tier tanks, because in lower tier tanks the signals don't go as far, so this will give you more coverage in the lower tier games. I have not used these on any of my tanks, so at this point I really don't recommend them. I did use them when I was in the lower tiers, but all of my tanks are like tier 8 now, so I really don't use it anymore. Now the loader. Now you're going to notice that I have 2 loaders on this tank, and they have different skills. Get BIA for the reasons mentioned before. I absolutely recommend safe stowage, and the reason why is because not only does it reduce the chance that you get ammo racked, but it reduces the chance you take damage to your ammo rack. So you frequently get hit on your ammo rack and it reduces your loading time. However, if you use safe stowage, that's going to happen less often, so it reduces your reliance on repair kits. I often use repair kits to repair a damaged ammo rack, and this is going to reduce my reliance on repair kits and on the repair skill. Adrenaline rush, if you have less than 10%, you're going to reload a little bit faster. I really don't recommend it. To me, it's not a high priority. You're not going to use it that often. It takes on average 5 shots for every tank to be killed in a game. So you've been hit 4 times. You got 10% of your health left. How many shots are you going to get out at that point? Probably not that many. So it's really not going to matter that much. And heavy tanks tend to be around solid objects, so they can hide and reload all they want. It really doesn't come into play as often as you want it to. However, if you have a tank that has a fast reload, which means you're going to fire more per game, it might benefit you more, because when you have less than 10%, you're going to do more reloads, which means that they're going to reload faster more often. You're going to get more benefit from it. Intuition, unless you absolutely love this feature, I really don't recommend it. So the other thing that I do is you'll notice that this loader has Adrenaline Rush, the other one has Safe Stowage. The loaders, I have fewer skills than the commander, the gunner, and the driver. So these are the tanks that I'm going to start adding repairs and firefighting skills as my 4th and 5th skill. Now I'm going to move on to consumables and equipment. I use coated optics on every tank. There's people that disagree with me. On the North American server this week, I'm rated number 9 for spotting out of everybody. So I am alone on the field. I'm at the front lines. I'm the first one spotted by the enemy every game. I need this. And my spotting, if you look up my T-34 and compare it to the average T-34, I spot more tanks than other people do. So I need this. We'll go through what you will probably use on another tank. Vents is like BIA, and it's like a food consumable. It improves a variety of different things on your tank, such as dispersion, aiming time, view range, signal range, etc. So you want to use vents whenever you can. I like to use the gun rammer because I want a faster reload. I only take time to reload. If I've got a 9-second reload, I'm going to fire 9 seconds later. That's the way I play. When I hide to reload, I only hide for 9 seconds, and I appear out in the open, ready to fire again, right at the point when I'm reloaded. So I use this because I like to fire as quickly as I can. You can get around this by just hiding longer, getting fewer shots out. I used to use small repair kit, large repair kit, automatic fire extinguisher. However, as of this weekend, I'm now keeping the large repair kit because you get the 10% bonus for speed of module repairs. I'm using the high octane gasoline. You get 10% more engine power, and the reason why is because heavy tanks are slower, and there is a benefit to being able to drive faster in the game. You'll hear me talk about this. If you want to get a lot of kills, you need to have a fast tank. You need to be able to move all over the map and get to where you want to go as quickly as possible. Tanks such as the Low are very slow, and it will benefit to make anything you can do to make it a little faster. I also use the food consumable because, like vents and BIA, it improves a lot of your stats and will increase the overall performance of your tank. However, the higher octane and the food consumables are more expensive. I have a slow loss in credits after every game. It's manageable. And if I get to the point where it's costing me too much money, I'll just reduce the octane or remove them temporarily until I can recover financially from the credits. Now, some of my tanks, like the KV5, this has problems with aiming. I did not like the aim time. So what I did was I added the gun laying drive and I added the vertical stabilizers. And I kept the vents in because vents improve the aim time. So these are two of the enhancements that I made. If you're really concerned about aim time and you want to aim faster, you want to have the gun laying drive, the vertical stabilizer, you want vents, you want the food consumables, you want snapshot, and you want smooth ride and BIA. All of those things will improve your aim time. And for close combat, if you're trying to hit that lower plate or if you want to hit a certain part of a tank, it's going to help you a lot. Otherwise, that tank is pretty much the same as my T-34. Now, you're going to notice on this one, I have the small repair kit and the large repair kit. I swore by that. That's the way I played for the past 3 years. I use the small repair kit frequently and the large repair kit not quite as much. The food consumable I just added recently. I did use the automatic fire extinguisher. However, it was rare that I was catching on fire, so I removed it and I switched it to the first aid kit. This tank has the first aid kit. And the reason why is because my crew was getting injured far more often than I was having issues with fires. And there's critical members of your crew. If your commander gets knocked out, your sixth sense stops working. If your gunner gets knocked out, your accuracy goes down. If the loader gets knocked out, the load time goes down. If the driver gets knocked out, the tank drives too slow. So I was having lots of problems with crew, and it affected some of my games, so I started using the first aid kit until I got Jack of all trades. Jack of all trades is not a perfect solution because if you lose your commander, you lose your ability to recover from health-related injuries. But however, it did free it up for adding something else like a food consumable. So I do recommend that if you don't want to pay for the food consumable or the high-octane gasoline, I do recommend small repair kit, large repair kit, first aid kit. Again, for many years, I used this layout, which is small repair kit, large repair kit, automatic fire extinguisher on every tank except for SPGs. And then for the past year, I've been doing the first aid kit, small repair kit, and large repair kit. And now I'm doing large repair kit, high octane fuel, and food consumable. So, and again, I'm only testing it right now. I've only played a few days with this, and I haven't really come to a conclusion. With light tanks, I'm very satisfied with the high octane fuel. It's not giving me, I'm not earning more credits to pay for this. So that's one of the disadvantages. And I haven't checked my stats yet to see if my overall stats have improved. Obviously, you need a couple of weeks to measure if there's an overall improvement or not. Okay, so that's my recommendation for heavy tanks. I do have guides for other tanks, such as light tanks and medium tanks. And I will, of course, have TDs and SPGs also. And I have crew-specific guides. If you have any questions or comments, please post below.